What up, YouTube? Web Mike here, and now that it is 2023, I thought, why don't I take a look back on 2022's movies and figure in what four categories would I rate them? Are they down in the gutter, where I would never want to see them again or never see ever? Are they at whatever and say, hey, maybe you consider skipping them? Then there's the good ones that are like, hey, man, this one's really good. I think check it out. And then there's the ones at the top, the best of the best. So I guess I'll start first with the worst of the worst. In the gutter, there's Multiverse of Madness. And this was a movie I was really looking forward to because Sam Raimi is really good with his Marvel movies. I loved Spider-Man 1 and 2. 3 seemed to be doing way too much, but I would never question Sam Raimi's passion for his projects. Sadly, though, what we got wasn't really a multiverse movie. It just dipped its toes into a few, but didn't really do anything groundbreaking with them. And that was just like a real missed opportunity with them. And it just seemed to not really expand on Doctor Strange as a character, and instead it was focusing more on Wanda Maximoff, who, by all means, give her her own movie. She's amazing and compelling. Just also with WandaVision, making her out to be a villain who just kidnapped a whole town of people. Not the best person to make sympathetic. Just saying. Also, then there was America Chavez, who I follow the comics. I know who she is. But don't make her the main character practically. We're here for Doctor Strange in a Doctor Strange movie. Let's make Doctor Strange the through line and center of the movie, not someone who's ferrying the others about. Another one in the gutter, 355. Didn't see it. Don't care to see it. Lightyear. Didn't see it. Don't plan to see it. And that's because there's just layers of I don't care. It's not even a Toy Story movie. It is supposedly a fictionalized movie of what Andy saw as a kid that made him want to get a Buzz Lightyear action figure. And Tim Allen isn't even voicing Buzz. So why should I want to see this? I mean, maybe they're trying to set up a whole Galactic Rangers thing. I remember watching that cartoon a while ago. And maybe that could be cool, but I don't know. It just didn't connect at all. And then it was also Strange World, She Said. Haven't seen him. Don't care to see him. Strange World, can't see anything compelling. And I love Johnny Quest. And that seemed to be a movie that was on par with it. But many of the reviewers here on YouTube I follow just did not seem too impressed with it. So I thought, okay, I'll get to that in my own time if I ever have to. And She Said, this seems like Oscar bait. Without a doubt. But do you really expect Hollywood to be honest about the whole Harvey Weinstein situation and the Me Too movement? Which, now that we look at it, was it really about speaking truth to power? Or was it about putting people in power and removing certain ones? Makes you think. Then up one more rung to whatever. We've got Jurassic World Dominion, which I can't hate it. I can't say I savor it though. But it did what the Star Wars Disney trilogy failed to do. And that was put all three legacy characters together, had them be themselves, and they were alongside the new cast of characters. What a concept. Don't crap on what came before. It's amazing. And I don't think it managed to hit $1 billion, which I gotta say is probably because there wasn't really anything that popped out at it. Although I did find many things in it either profound or funny, such as the main character is a tech billionaire who is like a mashup of Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates, and probably some others. And they have a global depopulation theory. Sometime artists, in their weaving of lies, tell some amazing truths, don't they? Next up was Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, this is a step above Multiverse of Madness because it didn't utterly destroy the character, but again, it suffers the same problem of while Thor was Thor, Thor wasn't allowed to be the coolest person in his own movie. We had to hear all about how Jane Foster is a Thor, which it is not a mantle, it is a name. Thor is his name. You can call Jane Foster a goddess of thunder, but she cannot be Thor, the god of thunder. Now, there was plenty compelling into it about her cancer, it causing her to sacrifice her life to be a hero. That's all very compelling, very lovely. But then my mind begins to drift back to, wait a minute. If transforming into this Norse goddess causes your cancer to drastically increase, and Mjolnir was told to watch after Jane, why would it allow this to happen? Don't know. Also, while I'm there, Wakanda Forever. I have mixed feelings about it because there was a lot that was fine in it, but getting through it was an absolute chore and at times boring. And that's the worst thing a movie can do, bore you. It's odd that they try to call it Black Panther when I didn't see a Black Panther in it. And by the way, we all know what tragically happened with Chadwick Boseman. Cancer killed him. It's awful. It's sad. But boys growing up watching Black Panther want to see Black Panther. They don't need to have Chadwick Boseman be Black Panther. And think about what it's going to do to boys who are looking up to Black Panther who just see him die off screen. Now, I've read some of the articles and reports that Ryan Coogler felt very conflicted about what to do after the passing of his friend, and having had some of my own friends die to cancer or other health-related issues, I can absolutely respect wanting to honor him or whatever they had planned for him. But everyone else isn't you. Everyone else, like all the boys watching loving Black Panther, like how I discovered him like a decade or two ago and reading up on all of the stories, those boys want to see T'Challa. They want to grow up with him. They want to get all these experiences. They don't want to just lose him and it not serve the story. There's other things you could have done aside from just recasting him. And in the course of recasting him, you could play off that he's faking his own assassination to weed out some dissidents in Wakanda, and that would explain why he has change of face, because he went under facial reconstruction. So that way he could act as an agent in his own nation and ferret out who he needs to do so. And my God, if you told me there's a movie where Black Panther's gonna fight Namor, I'd have been thrilled. But we didn't get that. We got a 90-pound girl fighting Namor. That's right, because there's no way he's the Submariner. They just decided to hodgepodge lazily a bunch of mythologies from Aztec, Mayan, and probably the Olcon. And then there was also Prey. Again, didn't hate it. I was expecting it to be really bad, like 11 out of 10 bad, but it ended up just being like 4 or 5 out of 10 bad. So again, it's really sad when the story isn't allowed to just be what it should be. Because because we haven't seen a group really fight against a predator. Like we saw that briefly in the first one, in Predators. But we didn't see people who were already in their element working together against the predator. That would have been cool to see. Alright, on to the good tier. Now this is where I'm going to also delve into some of the Indian movies I've seen this year. Do not sleep on them. First I'm going to mention is Samrat Prithviraj. This is an amazing historical epic about some of the conflicts between what we now know as India and Pakistan before the partition. Or maybe it was after. I don't know. I'll do my own history lesson on it, but I was enraptured with the story. Next up was Uncharted, which, I gotta say, I always dread seeing a video game adaptation, but this one turned out pretty well. Not as good as Sonic the Hedgehog, but still fine. Also, it was kind of sad to see that it took so long to be made that Mark Wahlberg is no longer great to play Nathan Drake, and now he's Sully. It's a bit... There's definitely something lost, but... the Spider-Man they got playing him now, he could grow into the role, but I don't know how much more he's going to be growing. What's his name again? I'm sure someone in the comments will say this. Next up was The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. As a Nick Cage fan, I loved it. I understand it's not the best of the movies, but man, was it something special in my heart. Next up is Arcadia, which, by the way, Samrat Prithviraj and Arcadia, both available on Amazon Prime if you don't have a way to see them. Arcadia was amazing. It was almost like watching a live-action cartoon character fight off against hoodlums in his village, or a village that he's coming to. Sort of something like out of Kung Fu or a Western where a stranger comes into a town and starts ferreting out all the bad actors. Next up was Brahmastra Book 1, Shiva. Now, I initially saw this in the theaters, and then I also found it on Hulu and Disney Plus, depending on where you are geographically. This is the first film in a Astroverse cinematic universe, and it started off clunky, but then as the story went along, it started building and building and building and getting better and better and better, and the dialogue was still a little clunky and cheesy, but again, with the writing of the characters and everything else, it was just able to grow beyond something simple. And it is a simple movie, but that's the beauty of it. You don't have to end up focusing on that. You can instead focus on the themes about duty, sacrifice, the forms of love, whatever. Tom Holland, that was his name. Man, stupid mind. But anyway, Brahmastra Book 1, Shiva, don't sleep on it. Up next, there was Black Adam. Probably the second best superhero movie of the year. And again, just like Brahmastra, it had its clunky bits, but it was generally good. I also really just like the ending, because who needs a king? And then next up was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I never would have thought I would have liked this. This is like some kiddie movie that seems stupid, but then as I watched it, I realized there's a lot going on to perseverance and determination. despite whatever odds are in your way, and you just keep going forward and you just keep finding solutions and work it out as you go along. I just found that very endearing and a good message to send to kids. And then finally, at the top of this good tier, Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Now, I struggled whether to put this on top or good, because while I really liked it, I understand it's not for everybody. I hear rather mixed things on it, like people will either rate it at like a 4 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, depending on how much you get into it. And first off, there is the excellent spectacle of it. I'll probably do my own individual review of this, but the spectacle of it is a great entry into it. Like when I saw it the first time, I had to keep swatting away flies or something that were coming at the screen, or like blinking or flinching sometimes when something would fly up to the screen. And it happened again in this one with like air bubbles or various sea creatures. But then I would always ask myself, all right, James Cameron loves having these deep movies with something hidden behind them to think about, okay, what's really at work here? Because Titanic was really a movie about failing technology and the futility of man's advancements. But how can you get people to watch it? Oh, well, I'll make a Romeo and Juliet style romance put in there. Bam, hit. So that's how we got people to watch it. But I think I've been going on a little bit too long. I thank you for watching as long as you have. If you did like the video, hit a like or deposit a comment or two below on what you didn't like or could be improved. What did I get wrong in my list? Because I haven't yet done my top, and I think that should be its own whole video now. But hey, thank you again for your time. I hope you liked it. But until next time, WebMike out.